Pagelthon. Ooh, I kind of want to read the description really fast. Long have the sweeping plains of Pagelthon been home to the nomadic Amulja. Though the herding of livestock keeps them constantly on the move, the permanent settlement of Zolmak forms the seat of power and center of their society. It is there the Telephorai would wreak destruction, dispatching a vast host comprised of both Imperial soldiers and tempered dragons with Lunar Bahamut at its head. That's pretty exciting. And it's cool to actually get to see, I think, a little bit more of the, maybe, yeah, real place, real culture of the Amulja, so. Let's queue in. Either everybody's gonna be looking real good or looking real foul. Like FOWL, you get it as like a... I did a pun once. I did a pun. The music! Whoa, it's way more intense than I thought it would be! Yeah, that's what I thought! Oh my gosh, is that a zither? Dang it, you had to just... The two of you just had to bring your Easter suits. Who made you like this? It's pretty good though. One, the music is amazing. I love how they've worked in some of the Amulja stuff. That shot when like the music got intense of our face was so good. For a second, I actually almost forgot this was a dungeon. I just almost ran straight in here like nobody's business. Da, 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 da. Is this actually just like a metal remix of this song? Oh, it's so good. Now this feels epic. This feels like we are doing something really good, really intense. Just ignore the chicken and the rabbit. Or embrace them as your new canonical warriors of light. I'm not going to tell you how to enjoy your game. I'll pay your sub. Oh, this is excellent. And we have some of the Germanian Horde now. We've got debris fields, so we'll go ahead and hit those. Oh my gosh. I'm just like waiting to see, because so far, it's just like Canyon, Lesser Tello Dragon. I wonder what the... Oh, probably because of Telephorai. They probably combined them to indicate that they are like a hostile Telephorai controlled Vive and Dragon. Don't mind me while I just rock out this entire dungeon run. Alright. More caves. More sort of canyon systems. I do like the little touch of water here. Nothing that's knocking our socks off visually yet, but I am loving the vibe, the feeling. This feels really appropriate as well to Thanalan, which, hey, I'm all about. I actually have been kind of excited to get to revisit some of these, landscapes that we haven't necessarily been in since ARR. Maybe we've like popped in and out for some patch stuff or things, but... Please tell me this Orchestrion drops. I'm gonna need it though. Maybe you can craft it. Got Tempered Imperials. Teledragons. Huh. This is cool though, because I wonder if their like main city actually sort of sits back like in the center of a whole bunch of these almost like maze-like passageways. Of course, for a dungeon, you have to have a bit of that corridor feel. We all know what happened with the Thousand Maws or Aurum Vale, where you have a slightly less linear experience, or especially in dungeons where the flow is kind of hard to determine, or mobs are really unruly, it can be a little bit difficult. But I do like, from just kind of a conceptual standpoint though, that maybe they have protected their people and things, right? Because they know the way through a lot of these different regions, but other people might not, which is a pretty cool idea. Of course, these could just like lead through to a plane, which would be interesting. We got some machinery. Oh, there's more. Oh, he's a little friend. Hey, buddy. Take care of yourself. Thank you so much. I love it. They're helping out with the effort. That's excellent. Okay, so the first boss, Amhaluk, has a bit of that coral vibe. Usually coral type enemies do some kind of like front conal or back sweep. Sometimes they also do like a jump, kind of like the corals in the Temple of the Fist. Oh, or they're gonna do lightning puddles. That's fine too, I guess. Oh, do I need to drop it? Oh no, it needs to go to a tower. A tower? Yeah. Oh no! Okay, we're fine. We're good, we're fine. I thought that might one-shot me. Maybe, it looks like maybe it creates currents. Like it connects between the points. I'm not positive though. Now we got balls on balls on balls. The near raid also has a lot of balls. That one got bigger. That is a little concerning. Yep. There's that cone. Feel like they've almost combined Quetzalcoatl and the more traditional coral enemies. I'm guessing we don't want to stack those, or maybe you want to position them in such a way that. Okay, all right, we seem fine. For a second, I thought they might do something again where there were like those lines across the arena, and you had to like position them to create the right lines or something, so that you could stand in places where there weren't those orbs. But it seems like it's the orbs clear before. We fall. I was just listening to this song actually, and the lyrics that Koji Fox wrote for it, and they are so good. Like, if you have not actually gone through and read those lyrics before, you definitely should. Both that and Answers, they still give me chills. The Dragon Song ones are also super good, but oh yeah, and it also has a butt one. It's got both. So far, not like super impressed with this enemy. I mean, I'll be real. I do think the sort of lightning pillars are an interesting mechanic, but it does feel a little bit, I guess maybe it's a bit of a toss back to some Heavensward dungeon bosses with Lightning Noodle. You know, the infamous boss Lightning Noodle from from one of the Heavensward dungeons. It feels a little bit like that, but otherwise it feels like a pretty standard, just like coral enemy that doesn't necessarily have, to me at least, a lot of unique bearing on, I guess, what might be the setting of this.
What took you so long?
Oh, hold up. Oh, that's just a sash. I thought for a second those were the pants.
Let's split up.
Estinien! Granted, we do know that there are like corals in the region and things. Tiamat! Oh my gosh, it's so good to see another one of the first brood, like, actually out and doing things again here in the year 2021. So yeah, I don't really know if I'm that impressed with the first boss. It's fine. Feels pretty standard. I mean, it's appropriate to the region. It did seem to have, you know, maybe a little bit of modification or magic that maybe has infused it or something like that, but it didn't seem anything, I don't know, too memorable. It's definitely not going to be like, oh yeah, you remember that one boss, like the coolest boss in any dungeon ever? No. From a sort of thematic standpoint, it's really interesting to me that almost, so like in Heavensward, right? And we keep thinking back to Heavensward, thinking back to the Knights and everything that happened there with like fervent belief in Ishgard. Ishgard itself wasn't too far off from essentially being Garlemald here, right? This idea of like tempering for an empire. I mean, you could almost see or think that probably if those Knights had been left unchecked, the power that they would draw on and like the prayer and belief of the people and those icons and things would have directly almost come from Ishgard. Of course, there's more with the facility and, you know, the dead body and all sorts of stuff that goes into that. But I could have seen Ishgard's population almost becoming very similar to what's happened here to Garlemald if we hadn't intervened, or if like the worms hadn't been involved and or decided to agree to peace. It definitely seems like it was more of a personal conflict between them that was sparked by the Assassins as opposed to like direct interference like with Garlemald, but the parallels are definitely there. Treasure coffer. The new gear from this dungeon though, I have seen it, and it is good. The boots are not where it's at. It's the tops and the pants, and they are like, you looking for that new hot pants look. That new I'm barely wearing anything, but in such a good fantasy way. This dungeon's got you covered. So far it does feel a lot like... it feels a lot like... Oh... Our other dungeon that goes through a war zone that was a culminating one. Of course, my brain now, in the moment while we fight these dragons, is like, I don't recall. But it feels kind of similar in tone, right? Like this battlefield that we're sort of working through. I hope we do get something that is a little bit different visually or thematically, just to kind of set it apart. But I mean, it's appropriate to the region and things. Thanks for helping, big friend. May you finally be at peace. Oh. You know, I realized I didn't even check to see if Estinien actually was a new trust there. Since he shows up in this dungeon, I can't imagine that he is. But I have not even looked, so I need to do that. Okay. A little bit of a Magitech Garlean fortress. How did they get this set up so fast? How long have they been here? I guess maybe they could have been... Like, we've seen construction happening in other places, and we know... Obviously, we're headed towards the tower, which I don't think we can see yet. Just a real quick look around. Okay, so vents, kind of like last dungeon mechanics again with the final Porksy fight. Or I guess with the water fight, the water droplet fight. Lot of Imperials, whole bunch of Imperials on Imperials on Imperials. Again, not like a really interesting new boss design or anything. Oh, this is kind of cool. I was not expecting this though. And the Magitech core drawing inspiration from Ancient Allig. That's cool. I like that they kind of have this multi-level. I was literally just thinking to myself too, I was like, nothing's really chunked our health yet, and here we are. Okay. I kind of like the up and down. This makes this fight a little more interesting. I'm getting like flashbacks though to, gosh, like Praetorium and stuff where you have these big mob packs. These two are gonna go off. Go over to this side. Oh, no! Don't bring back this fight. I hated that fight. God, these missiles. That was probably my least favorite fight from all of the Omega Escape raids. Especially in Savage mode. I think some people probably really liked it, but I was not a huge fan. Oh my god. Oh no! No! I wasn't even looking! I wasn't even looking! Interesting. Oh, well, we don't have anything. I don't have anything. Dead zone. I'm super mega dead zone. Incredibly dead. Okay. I do like how they are kind of blocking off areas here, like area of denial that you have to be aware of within the space and while negotiating or tanking this mob. That's pretty cool. That's a fun little detail. Get my act together. Watch out for these. We know that those are also a thing now, so we're gonna watch out for those simultaneously. I'm very glad that Liar decided to go Red Mage for this. Because I was gonna be in some trouble. If not, we would have definitely had a wipe. It would be cool to see something where maybe rather than it just being something where you're like popping up to fight an enemy, maybe there were like two sides to this boss arena almost. And you had to like move between one or the other for whatever reason, like maybe one entire side gets completely denied, or I don't know. I like this though. It seems interesting at least. And the rainbow explosion was very good as well. Okay, what's this hat look? Oh, it's like, that's actually pretty cool. What? That's actually pretty cool. And thank you. I don't care if my ears show. Just give me the helmet. I don't care if it gets rid of them. Thank you. Thank you. The whole rest of this dungeon is going to be like a completely forgotten blur. The only thing that's going to matter to me as a Viera player is that I can actually wear the helmet. I don't care. At this point, I'm like, they just need to be available even if it chops my ears off. And that's awesome. I dig that. That's super cool. What is this? Gladiator? I don't really need it. And Steven was kind and tanked for us, so I'm gonna let Steven have it. If I tanked more, I might fight for it, but I do not care for it so much. Thank you, tanks. You saved me a lot of trouble. It just isn't a Final Fantasy game or dungeon or epic moment unless you have that really good music with it. And this definitely feels excellent. Okay, so yeah, here, it opened up to the plains. She's gonna call to her chillins. I get to fly on a dragon! Best dungeon in the entirety of the game, Final Fantasy, ever in the whole world. This is so cool! What? Even just from like a transitional standpoint, I love this. It actually gives you like a perspective on the scope. You can see everything. It feels really neat and unique. I dig that. I love that. It reminds me a little bit of the dungeon with the Ixali, where you like ride those kind of little like, I don't know, zip lines. That was also a kind of neat thing, but this I think gives you that wow factor, right? There's like the visual to me that sets this apart from like other dungeons, or that makes this a memorable landscape, like that golden plain with the tower in the distance, the ruined forces, the war tearing by in the background. That's super cool. Also, I wonder if we're gonna help them rebuild at some point. I mean, we've seen a lot of rebuilding all over. Tiamat is targetable, huh? But now that I see their sad, destroyed village, I kind of wish I knew what it looked like when it was all pristine and nice. There's so much happening. Oh, Lord. I can't see anything. There's big dragon butts in the way for days. For the size of these mobs, they don't necessarily seem to be doing really terrifying damage, though. It feels like maybe they've toned back just a little bit of the difficulty of dungeons. I mean, I kind of like when it's spicy. I like when those X-roulettes, at least, your expert roulettes, have some kind of like, oh yeah, well, if the tank gets spicy with this, I better hold on to my butt. The treasure coffers on the other side. I can snag that. Hopefully it won't pull anything, but we'll see. I'm actually really excited to rerun this one. And the visuals and things feel cool too, but they don't feel overbearing like Praetorium. Lunar, what? Lunar Bahamut is the dungeon boss? She's green. What? I have so many. What? Ow! Yeah, do it! Aerial combat! Use your dragon slaying abilities for good! Oh my gosh, this is so cool. I guess you just couldn't tell because of like the colors and lighting effects that she was green when she was in Ozzy Slaw. Or maybe it had something to do with like the tempering or... Okay, so she grounded him for us. I did not expect him to be the boss. I just didn't. But it is, it's kind of like the Light Warden situation, right? Oh my gosh. Oh, and that shot with him in front of the tower? Hold up a minute. In the flood. Okay, and death unto dawn. The sun in the distance, that bit again, like they actually mentioned, I think in one of the announcements, that it kind of looks like the same sort of feel of Stormblood, which had the sun setting, but like the idea of like moving towards the sunrise is definitely here. Oh dang, this is very cool. It's very good. Gosh, I love the plains too. Like that's something we haven't necessarily seen. The Azim Steppe is the closest. We have like grassy plains in the Azim Steppe, which we also kind of get a little bit of a vibe sort of similar here, but like just this big, gorgeous, like golden plain. Wow, that's cool. All right, all right, all right, all right, I'm ready. Let's do this. I hope this boy's spicy though. Maybe you have like an independent instance afterwards. I really thought that he would be like a trial or a primal at some point, like next patch or something, you know? Or like in part 2 of this, we'd get a surprise. Okay, so he's put down these spikes. They detonate in succession. All right. Oh. Oh, that purple flame is so good, though. Okay, a stack. Aha! As one of my moderators likes to call it, dragon yells many times, lots of damage. We got that good. Achmorn. Mega flares, okay. Probably just take these away from each other. Yeah. And then they drop the Bahamut puddles. Oh dang, oh dang, oh dang. We've got more of these boys going down. So head towards the last ones. I mean, I'm assuming it, oh, he's gonna do a charge, isn't he? Okay, 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 that's not good. That's not good. What's happened to me has not been good. Some mistakes were made. I'm just gonna hit benediction. Conra, this is a new one for dragon enemies. Oh, okay, get out of that. It puts down, it seems similar to like Alamorn, where it usually what targets a DPS and then does multiple, except that it's in a cross as opposed to just a puddle of middle edge. There's a tiny free space. There was a teensy free space. AoE damage, Giga Flare probably. Yeah. Oh, it does a lot too in chunks. And our stack again. Akmord! Oh, that really hurts if you have full stacks! Granted, I have a lot of DPS uptime stacks right now, so I've really earned them while I go into this for the first time. Okay, we got more of these dropping, and he's probably gonna do another thing where he does the knockback cleavy shenanigan, is my guess. Maybe not. Oh, I'm not gonna make it out of this one. Lunar Flare. Okay, so this is where we're looking for the one tiny spot, right? Oh, they shrink. They shrink over time. And then that makes free spaces. And there's like a spot in the arena, or maybe a couple spots. It seems like it. So if Lunar Bahamut is not going to be our, like, big thing here, what's going to be our big thing before all of this is said and done? I have so many questions. He's at 3% already. Do we have a phase transition? I don't know, it feels too easy. That's it. Interesting. And Wonders Tales duty complete. Nailed it. Da da da. Amazing. Okay. I guess I liked the bosses. I feel like the first boss could have been replaced with literally anything, and I would have been fine with that. It felt just really unmemorable. Like, even if it had just been, gosh, one of the Dravanian Horde or somebody from, like, even Binding Coil or Heavensward that had been of note to us, and we got to see, like, Tiamat, like, respond to it, or any of the NPCs they said, I don't know, that would have probably resonated a little bit more on the journey for me. The Garlean one was interesting. I think the mechanics in the arena were fun. I like, again, that, like, playing with different sort of elevations. I think that was pretty cool. But again, like, pretty much just a mob pack fight with, like, areas of denial. The last fight here was pretty cool, but again, it feels kind of like it was neat, but was it as hard as some of the other, like, expert dungeons we've had around this point? And for something of the scale of Lunar Bahamut, no? Which kind of makes me wonder again, yeah, like, what's gonna happen after this? Oh, dang, that's good, though. Oh, dang. Liar's gonna get that for sure, but that's good, though. Oh, beautiful. Love it. Excellent pose. So there's the dungeon done. Amazing. Let's see what we're gonna get here now. I'm gonna actually, let me see really quick. I think actually with our system sounds, usually you can hear people leaving the party or whatever, but I think we should be fine because the system sounds are muted. So we're gonna I guess see whatever cutscenes after this. I feel like something pretty epic has to happen because this feels like we thought this was the threat and now, you know, it's done in theory. But the tower is still there, which is kind of making me nervous. Thanks all. Okay, here we go. We still haven't had the death that leads to the eventual dawn and our new shenanigans, but... What if Tiamat gets, like, enthralled by the tower or something? No, she's beautiful. They gave her a new color scheme. She's got to be here to stick around. Okay, Tiamat is beautiful and can do no wrong and is wonderful. I do wish that they had fixed the problem from Heavensward with their sad eyeballs. Just bring them in. She's looking at something, but it's definitely not us. Okay, serious time now. Children of man, the shade of my beloved is no more, and I shall forever be in your debt.
Until in Eist. Antal Alpha Snalosk Ash An Dran Miram.
By your deeds we are set free, and free we shall remain as long as I draw breath. Again, with the ominous things that have been said this patch so far. Never again shall the dragons of Mericidia hearken to the lies of the Asians. This I vow. Oh, we look good in that, though. Respect nods. See ya, girl. Be free, be beautiful. We'll hang out with you in Mericidia.
Noble warriors, the dragons chose their friends well.
An Ameljah character? Oh, look at him! He majestic.
Long have our peoples waged war, but no more.
I like his hat.
Your fallen lie beside our own. By our words and deeds shall we honor their sacrifice.
That's cool. The idea that they've been, I mean, obviously a more aggressive, more warlike culture, more about physical force and, you know, combat and things like that. But to think that we would become allies or that peace would be made with them because we fought alongside them and protected their lands and their people, that's awesome. I love it. Oh, these are all good. These are all good. This last one just feels so strong, though, and it feels like it's so in line with all the other themes. We have to do this one. Then let us put the past behind us.
The enemy of our enemy is our friend. And you have proven yourselves worthy of our trust. It is the Garleans who are deserving of our fury.
Well, the ones that are controlled and the people that are controlling them, yeah. But like the regular citizens of Garlemald, I mean, they probably pretty helpless in this too. And or people that have been conscripted into Garlean ranks, right? Like we've seen with Fordola.
I shall see that my brethren learn the truth of this day, and rally as many as possible to the cause, till we meet again.
I'm just imagining our like final patch leading into the expansion, and we've got everybody around us are like rising up, all of the tribes, just... I mean, maybe an Endwalker as well. Maybe Endwalker itself will have a couple things where those beast tribes or the tribes that we haven't necessarily been to yet, we get to do something like this too. Some of them were more or less living amicably depending on their nations, but there's been strife, I think, for the most part in many places. Obviously, thus the primal summoning. Bye, friend. Bye, new friend. You'll get a name one day. War chief.
And thus did we make allies of the Amalja.
Oh, the sun.
It would certainly seem that way.
The lens
I'm
flare.
really pleased.
I am
Let's
sucker
go and
for
give her
it.
the good news, shall we?
Well, but what are we gonna do about this? Sure, good news first. But the tower, though? Not a single moment of concern? I guess Fordola and our boy are over there scouting the tower right now, right? So maybe they're gonna next catch up with us and then have some, like, information about that. Oh, whoa! Sometime earlier, inside the Pogglethon Tower. They're being used to power it. Like we've seen with even the Allegan stuff, right? Oh my gosh.
What in Relga's name happened here?
The gods only know. But you can bet these poor sods aren't here by choice.
But were they like integrated into it? Did like the tower like grow using their life force? Or they're like, is this just the kind of thing where yes, like they're being used to power or summon? We've seen Lunar Ifrit at least in some of the trailer stuff, and Odin, and they have the red sash.
Quickly! We've got to get them free!
I thought Arenvald was super dead, though. When they did that shot of him, I thought that was like him in a pile of his own guts. That's what... I was like, oh my god! They really did me one here! I mean, I still think Arenvald is gonna die, for sure. But... I'm glad he's alive right now, at least. Yeah, you can't help him. No touchy!
Get back!
What have I done?
I don't know, Arenvald. What have you done? Because it seems like it was bad, but you tried to do it for a good reason, because you're a good boy.
It's too late for them. We're leaving, now.
Frodola's very practical. Survivalist, oh god. Oh jeez. Are they summoning Ifrit now? Did they like sense a threat? Oh my god, are we playing as Fordola? This is an arena! That was a transitional cutscene! Is Fordola our next trust? Or Estinien? I don't know! What are we doing? Ah, it's different!
No! No! Don't you dare! We came together and we're leaving together!
Oh, bye-bye, Arenvald. Oh, no. He dead, though, right? Like, that's for sure. Like, we're gonna get back to the we're gonna get to the tower, and she gonna be, and he gonna be dead in his body, or she gonna bring it back, and then his body is gonna be, because he died, and it's funny because on this one I don't even think I'm gonna be as sad about Arenvald as I am just gonna be about seeing Alphinaud be sad about Arenvald. Okay, all right. Hey, friendship circle, how's it going? I should have known you'd be the one to end it. Mayhap now Tiamat will find some measure of solace. Like you have, Estinien, because your eyes are all happy now. You bringing people flowers. Though the day is won, thanks in no small part to thy valor, the Telepharoi are far from defeated. Yet be that as it may, 'tis only right that we rejoice in Luna Bahamut's banishment unto the ether. It will take more than a single victory to wash away all the bad blood between men and Amuljah, but one has to start somewhere. Tiamat did all she promised and more this day, but I doubt she will ever be satisfied. Nay, she will fight on in defense of her children, wheresoever they may be. So many friends here! From what I could tell, there didn't seem to be many Imperials in the vicinity of the tower. Hopefully, Arenvald will have used the opportunity to not die to lunar Ifrit. Sorry about that, Alice Hayes. Probably not happened. Probably didn't happen. To see the Amuljah fighting alongside us brought to mind the Zune of the Crystarium. I pray that our peoples can forge bonds as strong as those of our counterparts in the First. Hey pilot, how's it going? Is it true? Has Lunar Bahamut been defeated? Yeah, but there's still that tower though. So I wouldn't rest easy yet, because some things are happening. And some of them I think pretty depressing. Okay, I think that's everybody. Alright, okay, Alphinaud. Okay, little buddy. It's gonna be okay. Just don't worry about it too much. It's fine. It's gonna be fine. Well, it would be too much to hope that we have seen the last of Fandaniel. We have dealt his schemes a telling blow this day, and that alone is cause to celebrate. And celebrate I will, when we have received word of Arenvald's safe return. Yeah, about that! Give me the aim. Give me the aim, Candy! You may now enter Pogglethon. Yay! I'm gonna run that for a while to get some gear, because that stuff is good stuff. Whew! Alright, we'll break it here. Make sure we got all the dungeon. Also, you know, recover emotionally before we have to go do this that's about to happen. The sadness and the feelings that are about to be put upon us, so go. Alright, we're picking back up real quick, post-dungeon. I got a little bit of water. I emotionally grounded myself. Alright, here we go. Let's talk to Alphinaud. The next one is just question mark, which is a little bit worrying. Alphinaud is minded to share his account of the events that unfolded in Pogglethon with the Sultana. Okay. Not to go to the tower and check on your friend. I mean, I guess they're just leaving the reconnaissance party to deal with the tower. I guess it is important to let her know that Lunar Bahamut's not a thing, but... Standing around here worrying is not going to help matters. Come, we must discuss the day's events with Pippin and her grace. Brave scions, said an indeterminate voice. Brave scions! Would that I could treat you to a hero's welcome, but I bear urgent news from the frontistery. Your grace, whatever is the matter? As our troops withdrew from Pogglethon, they came upon the 2 scouts sent to the nearby tower. I have yet to hear a full account, but it seems that one of them, your friend, I believe, had been wounded and was being dragged away by the other. Oh, no. I must go. Forgive me, your grace. Can you tell us aught of Arenvald's condition, your grace? The wounded scout. Not save that it is grave. The chirurgeons tend to him even as we speak. The infirmary must be inundated with the wounded. If all of us go, we'll only get underfoot. Valka, Estinien, would you mind going after Alphinaud? He may need some support from someone other than me. From his adopted parents. From Mom and Grumpy Dad. Very well. Thank you. The rest of us will see that the relevant people know what took place in Pogglethon. Look at her setting aside her own feelings to make sure that her brother is, like, cared for and loved. Come on, then. Well, it's dire, but he not dead yet. Maybe he dead soon, so he can die in Alphinaud's arms, which would be devastating. You know, it's funny, it's been so long since I've been down here, I didn't realize how cute it was down here. Like, this is all pretty cute. The little stations back there and stuff. Very good. That's not what's really important right now. I'm sorry. The cuteness of the landscape is not that important in comparison to how this poor man might die. So let's make sure that I'm, you know, staying on top of it. And let's get where we need to go. Where exactly do they say he is? Let's see. We're having a bit of a load and lag time, so we'll just let that do its thing. It takes a village. Nope. That's Kalusia. Nope. That's Ishgard. We're looking for when the dust settles. There we go. You know, the one with the special fiery main story quest MSQ icon. Alternate parts of the frontister. Good lord, that's a word. Frontistery. Frontistery. I wonder what the origin of that word is. I actually have not heard that one very much. Although I think that there was one of the Little Ladies' Day quests. Didn't it take us there not too long ago? We'll pop up to, assuming we can find an aetheryte. Assuming the aetheryte loads in. I guess we could just take the lift attendant. We'll go up Ruby Road. Yes. And I'll take a look at it. And then we'll see. We'll see how the loading goes. We're hopping back in. We skipped ahead, again, using the power of time, space, and editing. And DJ, thanks DJ, appreciate you. We are touching base with the Frontistery Chirurgeon, because this is probably where it ends for the good boy, is my thought. I mean, unless Alphinaud at this point pulls out the sage healing and is like, I've had a healer inside of me all along, and then we get this like magical turnaround, but it's called Death Unto Dawn. There's gotta be a death. Let's talk to Fordola. Instead of standing there gawping, why don't you tell your friends to stop whining like an underfed dog? People are fighting for their lives in there. Fordola's accent is hard to pin down. I just kind of toss some stuff out and see what happens. Please, tell me something. Anything. So things are getting a little bit intense, it does seem like. Another one come to see the lad in silver armor. Master Damio is attending to him as we speak. If you would be so kind as to wait. What did Master Damio say? Tell me his exact words. Oh. I mean, here's the thing. As me, I would probably be very kind to be like, let the chirurgeons do what they gotta do. As Valka, it's gonna be enough, Alphinaud. She gets to the point. Enough, Alphinaud. This isn't helping. But you're right. Forgive me. When we said our farewells to Arenvald, I was afraid that something like this might happen, but now that it has, all we can do is wait. Yeah, we all, not so much were scared that something was gonna happen. I think we all knew that something was gonna happen. They set that boy up to die so clearly. Unless they're gonna do a little switcheroo on us, which is possible.
Fordola. Have you been waiting here all this time?
Yes, because she cares. She just doesn't know how to say it. Silence. Case in point. I mean, they have to show us him before he dies, though, right?
We have done what we can. The rest is up to him.
I have some worries. Is it possible that he was, like, tempered by Ifrit? Is it possible that he's gonna turn on us? But, I mean, they can undo the tempering. And again, these kinds of primals, the way that they aren't tempering, right? They've said that at least Lunar Bahamut wasn't tempering in the way that they anticipated initially, right?
May we see him?
Well, and he has the echo. So even if it was something where there was some kind of, he wouldn't have fallen prey to it. I'm just trying to think about every single possible outcome.
I do not think that wise. You must let him sleep.
I mean, yes, if it was a grievous injury, I guess he needs rest. But something, you can't help but feel like things are a little sus. I think this is just a bonding moment.
He owes you his life. I just wish I had been there. Perhaps, I don't know. Perhaps I could have
healed him. Oh, don't push him. He's sad.
Got tempered? Don't flatter yourself. You can't save everyone. No one can. Not even the warrior of bloody light. People die all the time, for no good reason. And those who take up the sword die quicker than most.
Oh, it's the lines. It's the lines from the trailer.
If you're going to shed a tear every time a soldier falls on the battlefield, you'd best stay away. It's no place for the weak of heart.
Is his friend Fordola? I know you're trying to just, like, help him, but that's rough.
It may be that victory cannot be won without cost. But all life is precious, and I refuse to shrug at its loss.
This is when Alphinaud knew he was meant to be a healer main. We've all been there. If you are a fellow healer main, we all had this moment, except that instead of Fordola, it was like tanks and DPS trying to get us to join their ranks, and this is the conversation that occurred. But also, jokes aside, I just look at his little face. How can you have gotten this far and seen so much of his journey and still hate that little face? He's trying, you know? I think it was really unfortunate they put the whole Crystal Braves thing on him. That's just, oh man. That was, not to say bad writing, because 14 really doesn't have bad writing in it per se. But it was probably one of the weaker story beats, I guess, in the whole thing, and I think he's kind of suffered because of that and in the shadow of that for so long. It's nice to see Alphinaud get to do some stuff and be his own person, and now he's gonna become a cute little healer, and I love it. And this is a great way to kind of give him impetus to, and that line, all life is precious, I refuse to shrug at its loss. I mean, I guess it just hits extra hard because human life and/or life is incredibly precious. And I think we've had a greater reminder of that than we normally do, you know? Just this past year in so many different ways, so many different facets, even outside of the pandemic. She heard what he said.
All life is precious. Oh, you need to grow up, little man. Before your sparkling ideals get everyone killed.
Fordola, all life is precious. I get the feeling that she's just upset because she never felt like her life was precious or valued, you know? Estinien's like, I'll be your life coach. I've been through this.
You're right. He is idealistic. But the world has more than its fair share of realists, like you and me. It's people like him who dare to dream that things could be better, and make it happen against all the odds. They are the ones whose names live on forever. The heroes.
The battlefield's littered with would-be heroes. At this rate, you'll not be next.
My Kokoro.
And what'll become of your precious dreams then? They'll be gone. Like dust on the wind.
Fordola has come so far. She's just scared to take that extra step.
Don't die so easily.
And she's probably upset because she spent so much time with Arenvald, and his heroic and noble ideals also got him in this kind of situation where he put himself in front of the blade that would have taken her life. And I'm sure she feels all kinds of guilt for that, you know? The character beats are so good. They're so good I had to, like, punch the secondary microphone that I have on my desk while I flailed. It's just so good. Great character nuances. I love it. Is Estinien still just like... Yes, he is. That woman. She plays at scorn, but her eyes are filled with sorrow. Sorrow deep enough to drown in. Yes, she say it. You know he'd just, like, sleep on those steps given the chance. You know he would. I know. I know. There's nothing more I can do here. Come, let us rejoin the others. Her Grace invites the Scions of the Seventh Dawn to join her in the fragrant chamber. Your comrades have already arrived. Will the three of you be joining them? We will. There's so many characters I have so many feelings for. My face is just like on a feelings journey. I want to yell the whole time. Mom and Dad need to have a talk real quick. Or just affirmative head nods. Sometimes you don't need words. I feel like we're entering the melancholy phase.
Your Grace, pray forgive us our lateness.
Think not of that. I understand a close comrade of yours was wounded in the line of duty. Arenvald.
She actually sounds older. I think some of her voice acting stuff did turn over periodically, but I think the voice actress as well is doing just a really nice job of that gravitas that maybe she's kind of stepped into.
It was at the Alliance's behest that he risked all, and we are grieved to hear of his condition. Rest assured, he will receive the finest care our chirurgeons can provide. On that you have my word.
Chirurgeons is a fun word too. Chirurgeon is what I've always called it, but it probably does have the chi at the beginning, right? If you're pronouncing it, maybe it's in ancient Greek?
Now, we would share with you the findings of the mission. Pippin, pray relate to our guests the details of Fordola's account.
Touch the thing is bad if it got summoned. No, he's not gonna actually talk. Touch the thing, it was bad if it got summoned.
First Bahamut, now Ifrit. Or Lunar Ifrit, as Fan Daniel would doubtless have it.
'Tis now all but certain that the towers were conceived to facilitate the summoning of primals by those imprisoned within. Less certain is the means by which the Telophoroi constrain the wills of said entities to enact their designs in defiance of the pleas of their victims.
I mean, we don't know anything. Fandaniel hasn't been seen for a while. Zenos hasn't been seen for a while. We don't really know who exactly is orchestrating all of this or how much, like, Zenos might be playing into this plan, how hands-on Fandaniel might be. But it would make sense to me that Zenos or maybe even the Ascians or something have a way to control primal forces. I mean, guardian forces, whatever you wanted to call them. So, but again, we don't know the extent of tempering and or how that kind of will gets enacted through others. It's interesting. Maybe they're going to use this as a way to sort of discuss what Emmett Selk talked about with Zodiark tempering them to some degree, or maybe we're going to get something more about that and what exactly or how exactly these kinds of forces could be controlled.
Mayhap they do not. If mere proximity to the towers is enough to make loyal servants of the Empire's mortal enemies, it stands to reason that the same is true for those held captive.
Oh, they're brainwashed before they even summon.
They invoke their gods for the good of Garlemald, and in their disturbed state of mind, summon a primal whose form reflects their own alteration.
It all begins to make sense. Upon closer inspection, I realized that the towers bear a striking resemblance to a much larger structure which Urianger and I observed from afar during our visit to the Imperial capital.
The new renovation to the sweet, sweet palace.
Assuming it too is capable of tempering those in its immediate vicinity, it would go some way to explain the swiftness with which the Telophoroi managed to rally so many Imperials to their cause.
So the technology of the tower is seemingly different. That in and of itself is probably exerting the will. And then the primals are like disjointed and just being summoned to sort of further that will. We're working through it together.
While the situation in Garlemald is indeed troubling, I fear we have more immediate concerns.
Though. Sorry, Nanamo, I'll let you talk in just a second. Though, we still don't know exactly what, like, the entity from the deep was, if we're getting into more stuff like what caused the final days, which we know is going to be a big thing that they're going to be hitting on, or sort of a question that's meant to be answered, coming up with Endwalker. I mean, is it possible that the towers could be some sort of extension of that thing? Maybe, because they do kind of look a little bit organic? Or it just could be technology. It could just be brainwashing technology that exists that drew information from tempering and now is able to exert it in some kind of artificial way. Who knows? Who knows?
Ifrit was not the only primal summoned. At approximately the same time, observers at several other towers bore witness to the emergence of further such entities.
I'm sorry, Alphinaud, you didn't see the trailer, did you? We did.
For a blessing, none appear to wield aught approaching the destructive power of Bahamut, and the Grand Companies are moving to deal with the threat even as we speak.
I'm so glad that they brought Odin back. It's just, there are so many good. Ravana, too. There are so many good primals, and we've had so many revamps already between Unreal Trials and the raid set of, like, the original Ifrit, Shiva, Titan. I'm like, yes, give us the other ones. They're so good. You need only tell me where they are, Your Grace.
Though we are aware that the task will not be easy, we would call upon the Scions only as a last resort. Pray, conserve your strength for now.
Or in case something much worse pops up.
After all, it was not so very long ago that you rid us of Bahamut. On which note, I am pleased to report that our talks with the Amalja have reached an agreeable conclusion. They have pledged their full support to our cause.
Yay! Friendship!
It is our hope that this historic agreement will encourage other tribes to join us at the negotiating table. And I know that I speak for all of the allied leaders when I say that we will welcome them with open arms at such time as they do.
And she just said tribes, not beast tribes. I'm glad they're making that change. I mean, I understand why they're called beast tribes, right? The idea that they have more animalistic traits, and that in, you know, other Final Fantasies or things where there are those more like bestial races, it's not necessarily meant as something like really terrible, but it is one of those things where like the longer you spend time in a world and you realize that there's like a group that is sentient, and yet we have Mikote that are cat people, but they're not beast tribes, you know what I mean? And then the dwarves, which as well, like those lines, those distinctions, they are just arbitrary. And so it's nice to see them be like, hey, so maybe we shouldn't be fantasy racist anymore. Let's try to maybe bring peace about instead and all work together. Like, that's a good goal. Well done, guys.
Of course, this was only made possible by the feats of heroism performed at Pagltharn. Moreover, we shall not allow the sacrifices of those fallen in battle to have been made in vain. As hope leads to victory, shall victory lead to a new dawn for Eorzea.
Little dawn drop there.
May
The
these
sun
words
cycle.
ever be our guide, Your Grace.
Everybody done grown up so
Now,
much over these last 10
forgive me.
years.
I must consult with the Syndicate on the matter of our new allies' integration. Till next we meet, my friends, I bid you safe travels and blessed respite.
It's funny because, like, sometimes it doesn't feel as though it's been 10 years since this journey started. And then there are other moments where you see all these characters in the same scene together, where we see all these different characters and factions and nations and grand companies and people coming together. And you realize that if we weren't playing an MMO, if we weren't actually in this style of game where these expansions happen every couple years, you know? And if Yoshida-san and or the writing team hadn't decided to try and make this a linear, almost single-player experience, we wouldn't have this, you know? A single game comes out, maybe there's a sequel, but to have this incredible culmination of 10 years of your life and storytelling, that's like, I'm gonna be a mess. I'm gonna be a mess in Endwalker. And if you are too, don't worry, you're not gonna be alone. We will all be there together, I think. And even if people didn't get into the story until like Shadowbringers, maybe you're still trying to find your sort of stride with it. I mean, it's just incredible that they've pulled this off. I can't wait to see what the future holds. Endwalker isn't the end, but it's gonna be so amazing to see all of this come together. I'm genuinely so excited. Amidst this great push for peace with the beast tribes, we would do well to remember that old prejudices yet remain. It is a delicate political dance, and I do not envy the Sultana her task, nor any alliance leader. If there is no reason to linger, I will take my leave. Alphinaud knows only too well that sacrifices are an unavoidable part of conflict. But knowing something does not change how one feels about it. You yourself have shared adventures with Arenvald, have you not? Then I shall say no more. With the secrets of the towers thus laid bare, our duty to prevent further abductions taketh on new import. Fail in this, and our enemy shall punish our negligence with a plague of primals. Okay, thanks for being uplifted and positive as always, Urianger. Even without the threat of tempering to contend with, the Grand Companies have quite a task on their hands. Regardless of Her Grace's protestations to the contrary, it may be best to dispatch a few of our own to assist in the endeavor. Remind me to mention it to Taru, would you? Though we have won our first battle against Telophoroi, and made significant discoveries to boot, the war has scarcely begun. We must steel ourselves for what lies ahead. I'm trying! I'm steeled as hard as I can be. Which is not saying much because I'm very emotional as a human being on this earth. I don't know what she was describing to them, but I love it. Right then, Unless anyone has any objections, I think it's about time we return to the Rising Stones. Comfort your brother. You tell him you love him. And that includes you, Alphinaud. Arenvald is in good hands here. Oh, of course. He would doubtless mock me for pacing about the infirmary. Let us retire then, that we might regain our strength and readiness for the coming challenges. If all are in agreement then, I shall let KRILE know to expect us. A hot bath and a hearty meal shouldn't be beyond arranging with the time available. He's still sad. I mean, of course he's gonna be. I just want to give him a hug. It will be good to be home. I have some thinking to do. He has to scheme about how he's going to become a sage. It's okay. Yes, I'll try asking him. And thank you. I shall look forward to it. Our comrades eagerly await our return, and KRILE in particular has a few matters she is keen on discussing. One of which concerns you, Estinien, believe it or not. You will join us, won't you? Every single person turns to look at Estinien. Hey, new friend! Hey, how you feel about becoming a scion of the 7th Dawn? AKA a scion of the 7th Friendship. I mean, it fits right in, because if you take a look at all this, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 silver or white haired characters. One little boy with some red hair. And then there's myself as well. So, Estinien, you've just been waiting to come join us the whole time. Fine. We've been waiting for you too, friend. Really? I thought you said you were avoiding that Baldessian woman. If I refused, she would only pursue me. If you haven't read the short story in which they encounter him, do it. It's hilarious. It's very good. I think you can still find it online. They just posted them. This was... Oh, Lord, I don't remember. This was... I'm sure somebody else will catch this or comment or mention it on stream. Not pre-Shadowbringers. I don't think so. But they frequently release series of short stories. And some of those are what's being referenced here. So if anybody doesn't know, Estinien's journey and a few things that also happen with him and Dragonette and stuff like that that have been referenced, and eating squid, that's very important. It's the most crucial bit out of the whole thing. So there's that. And then there were also some really good ones. It was post Shadowbringers, because there's some really good ones of them at Selk and things like that too. Well worth reading. So definitely check them out. Let's get this over with, shall we? Have a new outfit, join our friends group, we have a group chat. There's lots of really inappropriate pictures in it. That's why there's a separate group chat for Alice and Alphinaud. That's how friendship works, right? When the dust settles. Back to Revenant's Toll. Sorry, THN. I think it's been a hot second since I was listening to the in-game music, because so many of us have been farming stuff, and even when we did new like Delibram Regine and stuff, I put on the music for that, but then I didn't put it back on for anywhere else. So it's like rediscovering all the music of the zones again. I just, I have to let my heart be free. I have to sing along with it. It's the best way to spend your loading screen time. Let me in! I feel like we have to be getting close to the end of the patch, but at the same time, it does feel like... Oh. Cutscene or disconnect? Cutscene. It does feel like they'd want this to be...
I expect you must all be exhausted. Ere you take your rest, however, I would beg a moment of your time.
It does seem, though, like they'd want to leave us on almost like a cliffhanger to propel the momentum into part 2, but...
Thanks to Arenvald's selfless efforts, we may now be confident that we understand the function of the towers. But many questions remain regarding the reason for the summonings, and what lurks behind the looming edifice in Garlemald.
Oh, that's a good question. Is it being powered by Garleans? Or something else? It feels like it would be something more mysterious. Could Fandaniel have gone around to find the, like, other sundered Ascians and then stuck them in there like some sort of mega-powered super battery? Because that'd be real bad. That'd be really not so good. But I feel like they wouldn't all agree to that? I don't know. You'd need a lot of them, too.
Until such questions are answered, we will struggle to devise an effective strategy for thwarting the Telophoroi's stated aim. Nothing less than the destruction of this star. And so, given the gravity of the situation, I move that we petition the aid of Sharlayan.
All right, there it is. There's our Sharlayan lead-in. A lot of us were sort of theorizing that probably Sharlayan would be something. Not only because Sage looks like that, but also because we know that Alphinaud and Alice are going to feature into some of this journey, and we know that their parents are still in Sharlayan. It makes sense because Sharlayan's also been researching a lot of this stuff for a long time and may or may not have even disclosed a lot of it because they have a sort of hands-off neutrality policy in general. So this seems logical, but it is interesting to me that in this patch we've had mentions of Mericidia and Sharlayan. They could have just sort of put Mericidia in and Tiamat as like a, yeah, we know this is a thing, but this is going to be how we acknowledge it, and maybe one day in the far-off future we'll get back to it and you'll help Tiamat with some stuff. Or it could have been them setting them up again to be some sort of player or like a place or a location in the next expansion. Who knows? Sharlayan definitely feels like, yes, it's on point. But we don't have any lead-in yet, though, for Thavnair, other than what they've released with teasers. And we know it's a gateway, or at least Razat Han is a gateway into Garlemald. But it makes me wonder if we're just going to briefly pass through there, or if there's going to be a large hunk of the game centered there.
It is possible the ancient knowledge preserved within their archives may hide a clue to our enemy's methods. But given Sharlayan's established policy of non-intervention, our former colleagues are not like to aid us in its discovery.
Well, they should get off their butts and do something.
Oh, I well remember what they're like. The Forum's barefaced refusal to assist you in the days prior to the calamity must rank as Sharlayan's most shameful act since the Exodus.
I didn't even think... I mean, they all have their own history with Sharlayan, obviously. And the Scions seem to have been formed, I mean... Gosh, I gotta go dig through my lore about the Scions. I believe they were formed under Louis Soir, right? And then Louis Soir, it got turned over, Minfilia became the head when we knew it. But they were sort of, a lot of them, Sharlayans... I think almost all of them, Sharlayans that he knew that wanted to take action to do something. So the thought that we're going to get maybe more lore about everybody else and their relationship to it as well is also exciting, outside of just the twins.
But were the final days to be reenacted, it would spell doom for us all. Surely even they cannot turn a blind eye to that.
I hope so, KRILE, but who knows?
I trust we are all of the same mind on this matter. Urgent as it seemed, I took the liberty of petitioning the Alliance for leave to act as Eorzea's emissary, and have since received their blessing.
KRILE would make a very good emissary.
I presume your role as a student of Baldessian will carry some weight with the Forum?
One can but hope.
She's like,
If
man, I hope
truth be
so.
told, our organization has been a shadow of its former self ever since the disappearance of the Isle of Val. But the name does still retain some degree of prestige. I only pray it will be enough. If there are no objections, I shall depart for Sharlayan at once. But before I do, I should also mention the other matter to which I would devote some time during my stay.
Yeah, Charlotte's definitely gonna be one of the places we're going to. She's already getting set up there as like a liaison. Absolutely, absolutely.
After hearing what transpired in the first, I began to question the true nature of Hydaelyn's blessing. A topic I have discussed at some length with Y'shtola.
I've been wondering about this too. I think so many of us have. And the fact that Midgardstormer at one point intervenes to strip you of it, blessing. There's been so much discussion about whether or not it means tempering, right? Or if it's something else that she bestows that still allows people to have free will. Or with the echo and stuff, right? A reminder that awakens something in you with the meteor showers and all this stuff. There's so many like different things that are kind of loosely connected to the idea of Hydaelyn, her blessing, or things that she might like cause. Oh, I'm so glad they're gonna answer this, or at least mention something about it.
When was the last time Hydaelyn spoke to you directly?
In the Crystarium, I guess technically, because we did hear her voice there, but it wasn't like she was speaking to us directly. The last time that she actually, like, spoke to us in a one-on-one was probably near the end of the Dragonsong War, right? I might lean towards that one? I don't know. Near the end of the Dragonsong War.
When you regained her blessing, was it not? But never since. Not in all your time in the first, when you faced the Unsundered, the very heart of Zodiark.
Well, she was getting tie-tie.
History shows us that Hydaelyn is able to awaken the echo in her chosen, convey her will directly, and grant the blessing of light.
Which does kind of sound like tempering.
To our knowledge, however, she has not sought to intervene in man's affairs for some considerable time.
Might not the explanation for that lie with her choice of champion? Mayhap she is content to trust in her judgment.
She's like, it's chill. Valk's on it. Valka's got it. I'm just gonna relax. I got some seasons to catch up on. Got some TV shows.
Mayhap she is. But following my initial discussion with KRILE, I made inquiries of my own. And as far as I'm able to tell, Hydaelyn has not made her will known to anyone.
Has she just been dead for a long time and we just didn't even realize?
During my time in the first, the Oracle of Light spoke to me through Reem. But that was not the will of Hydaelyn. It was Minfilia herself.
Indeed. And while she and Hydaelyn were inextricably linked, Minfilia yet acted of her own volition. A messenger, yes, but one who spoke with her own voice.
And yet you'd think that...
I wonder, could Hydaelyn's silence suggest the presence of some disruptive force, perhaps? Some obstacle to communication? While I share Urianger's high opinion of your conduct, I see no reason why she would deny you her guidance altogether.
Yeah, or why she wouldn't have, I don't know, something to say about the things that we had discovered, you know? I kept wondering we were going to have a conversation with her. That, you know, we've talked to her before, but to be able to say, yeah, so... about how you and Zodiark were summoned, and I remembered stuff, and we know stuff now about the Ancients, and you know that time you drop-kicked him? There's so much there that I think a lot of us have been curious about. I just assumed that they were distancing us from her, because if she was going to be something like, not a villain, you know what I mean? If they are primals acting of their own will, I figured that they were trying to take us more to a neutral ground as opposed to being her direct messenger or something. I mean, it would be super neat if at some point we, like, fuse them into us or become a mediating force for both of them or a representative for them because we don't know if the world can survive without them. But we also don't know what their motivations are, or if they have motivations, or if they were, you know, just a response to some kind of direct plea or summoning. They're very old and they seem much more complex than that. I mean, even Tiamat says that Hydaelyn extended them safety and things from across time and space, theoretically, or, you know, as they fled from their home planet, the dragons. So it does seem like she has more of a complex consciousness. Ramu also seems to have a bit of that. I mean, but I don't think any of them are on the level as, like, Zodiark and Hydaelyn, so...
Then again, who am I to say? The fact is, we simply don't know. But if the explanation is to be found anywhere, I can think of worse places to look than the archives of Sharlayan, and their research on the ethereal sea in particular.
See if there's something in the aether that would be blocking it? KRILE's like, why are you so sad?
Resolved though I am to go, believe me when I say that I take no pleasure in the thought of leaving you a member short. Now, of all times. Estinien, we stand on the eve of a struggle that will decide the fate of this star. One in which we Scions may play a telling part, yet we are but few in number. And so I must ask you again. Will you join us?
Estinien, stop fighting it! Join that friendship thread! Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Oh, look at that sad boy's eyes. Do you want him to be sad forever?
The way you want it to be. I see the world the way it is. You are idealistic to a fault.
Balance in all things.
But I know you would never turn your back on those in need. Never close your eyes to their suffering. And somehow, your deeds lend truth to your words, giving the lie to my doubts in so doing.
Come on, though, that's an incredible line. What? Your deeds lend truth to your words, giving the lie to my doubts in so doing. That's so good! That is so good! That wordplay, and the way that, like, he himself is saying, you know, because you have done these things and proven that idealism isn't always just an ideal, it's something, a dream, a belief that can be made manifest if you try. And so he's almost saying, like, I realize that, yes, like, maybe there are times where my pragmatism and my more down-to-earth approach, or I guess, what am I trying to say? Like, not, like, dark look at the nature of humankind, but that kind of pessimistic outlook, I guess. He's almost saying that the veracity of our own deeds and the way that we've proven our ideals is so good that it makes of his own doubts and pessimism a lie. Like, oh, I just love it. That's some good writing.
I have seen others draw strength from your belief. In Ishgard, in Alamigo, you inspired them to stand up and fight. To win, no less.
'Cause there is hope.
And even when you lost those you held dear, you carried their spirit with you and made their memory your guiding light. The burden of so many hopes and dreams would be too heavy for most to bear. But you bear it willingly, as you have shown me. Some dreams are too important to let go. If you have need of my strength, it's yours. After all you've done, how could I refuse?
New friend. Estinien has
Thank
joined
you,
the link
Estinien.
shell.
Whatever challenges await us, I shall not falter. You have my word.
Good. It's about time. Look, you made that boy happy. He was so sad before. Kara's like, oh, another one of my heroes.
I may bid you farewell. Safe in the knowledge that all is as it should be. In this little corner of the world, at least.
You will be sorely missed. Tread warily in Charlian, and do try not to let the Forum embroil you in their politics. A forlorn hope, I know, given the individuals involved.
I want to meet everybody in Charlian so bad.
Farewell.
Travel safe. We'll see you later. Bye. Where's she going? She had to get a little bit of a running start. We have never gotten a new zone or a new map or a new, you know what I mean, leading into an expansion. I don't think we have any reason to kind of think that we will coming into Endwalker, but a little part of me is like, man, I would love it if they kicked it off with something like that, like a new little zone you could explore. This is meanwhile in the Imperial Palace. Back to all the swords and all the weapons that are Zenos' other best friends in the world. I'm still standing. I'm standing with Alphinaud. Alphinaud's one of our co-hosts on Aetheryte Radio, and Alphinaud guessed that we might get something like a soul eater or like soul reaver that takes
does this one meet with your approval?
That like takes the soul out of like weapons that have essentially gained this kind of, you can say, sentience to some degree. This idea that like at a certain point, like inanimate objects can get their own sentience, which is something that kind of comes from Japanese mythology and kami and all of that kind of stuff there, be it like possessed items or items that kind of get more of a spiritual reverence. And so I think that would be so cool if he did end up with one, like a scythe or something, and the new class was that you could, I don't know, like consume spirits or something with it, or that it had its own spirit that you could activate. Or maybe he just has a weird thing with weapons, if Fandaniel just wants him to be happy. Fandaniel, it's not a scythe, get out.
Apparently not. Or could it be that you're still upset about the dragons?
So
you are unwise to remind me of so costly a failure.
He does have some sort of direct involvement with the towers and everything. And maybe the will. Maybe this is all what he thinks is gonna get him to Zodiark.
It will not affect our plans, I trust.
Oh, hardly at all.
Fannypack, stop swaggering!
Admittedly, the chances of us being able to procure any more Mericidian dragons are rather slimmer following Tiamat's reappearance.
This is not your time to bust out your new dance routine. This is a serious conversation, Fandaniel.
Oh, but the seeds have been sown, my lord. We have only to wait for them to quicken.
Everything he says makes me just unhappy inside. I just don't like his vibe. His vibe is bad. Vibe check?
Speaking of
0.
Is it safe to assume that you will be ready to control you-know-what?
The hour draws nigh. This nation, forged for Ascian ends, will finally prove its worth.
I don't know what?
A mighty empire, now no more than an instrument of this star's destruction. What a pleasure it will be to put it to use.
Gosh, there's so many different weapons. I'm like scanning them all, trying to see if there's one that looks new. I'm sure other people, I mean, we see lances, we see swords. I think this is another lance, unless halberd. I mean, like they wouldn't add a halberd into a lance. Some of them already look like lances. Axe. Is that Tsukiyomi's? No. I don't see anything new. Great sword. Axe. Where is healer staffs? What, he didn't want one? Where's the scholar book?
Which brings me back to our earlier topic.
Did you think scholar books were cool enough?
While I appreciate that it is not an easy decision, it really is past time you chose your weapon.
Are they gonna actually show us?
There is one that I have been meaning to test.
Is he just gonna grab fanny pack and swing him around? No. He's going to one off screen. Well, is this the reveal? A teaser?
Not quite what I was expecting. Though I will say, it does seem rather apt.
This has to be a teaser for the new class, right? It looks short. Final Fantasy XIV, why are you gonna do me like this? What do you mean? What do you mean you're not gonna show me? What do you mean you're not gonna show me what the weapon is that he drew? Yeah, nah, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, no. Sure. Great. This is not quite the cliffhanger I had in mind. Please look forward to FanFest 2021. I mean, it didn't... I guess if it was something like a scythe that had like a big pole, right? You'd think that when he grabbed it, you know, he would like, I don't know, pull it out. The way that he reached for it, it almost felt like he was going more for a blade. Something that would be shorter, that he was reaching for like a grip, and then we just saw like a little bit of a thing sticking out on one side. So maybe it is just something completely different than what we've been anticipating. Maybe it's just that the animation didn't particularly showcase it super well. Amidst all the fighting, it's easy to forget what we've achieved, isn't it? I mean, we cured Tiamat. Tiamat, for heaven's sake. You will tell me if I become insufferably smug, won't you? Because the way things are going, it feels like a definite possibility. Oh, let's say, you be as smug as you want, you've earned it. None can deny that Heidelin's blessing has been a great boon to our cause, but much remains unknown with regard to her true intentions. Given everything we have learned from our encounters with the Ascians, we must keep our minds open to any and all possibilities. The sudden appearance of the towers will surely not have escaped the Forum's notice. I would like to think they would be receptive to KRILE's request for cooperation investigating the matter, but unfortunately, their reputation would suggest otherwise. It strikes me as odd that rather than marching on one of the city-states, the Telophoroi have so far made only sporadic attacks. I doubt they'd go to the trouble of putting up all those towers if that was all they had in store for us. I mean, I really doubt it. We should try to find a way to break those towers, probably. If I am to pursue this course, I must be prepared for the hardships that lie ahead. If you've need of my lance, I'll be ready. If not, I'll be reserving my strength in preparation of the next battle. But since you're here, I have a question. The Scions are in close contact with the East Aldenard Trading Company of Kugane, yes? I was wondering if they could place an order for some sun-dried squid. I don't seem to be able to find it in these parts. That's right, you like it! Yeah, we get you some. Don't worry. Though we know not the full extent of the Telophorai's schemes, preventing further abductions must take precedence above all else, for therein lieth the key to depriving our enemy of its most potent weapon. Okay, what we got, Tataru? Well, it looks like I'm going to have a busy few moons. Not that they ever seem to be anything but. Thancred's got me dispatching troops to every corner of the realm, which is not to say I don't trust the Alliance, well, because I do. But when it comes to putting down primals, nobody does it better than us. Well, than you lot, more accurately. You won't catch me trading blows with the primal in the near future. But for every fell fiend you vanquish, there's countless meals to arrange, baths to fill, sheets to wash, stores to replenish, and the list goes on. Which is where I come in. And gladly, mind you. It's the least I can do to support the Scions who risk life and limb. Like poor Arenvald. I wish there was something we could do for him. But we'll just have to settle for saying the odd prayer and keeping a roof over our heads. It wouldn't do to have him come back to a complete shambles now, would it? But that's enough of my rambling. Off you go and get some rest. If there are any developments, I promise you'll be the first to know. That's the end Anybody have anything new to say after all that? No. Interesting. I mean, a lot of good stuff did happen. With this patch. Gosh, everything with Tiamat was amazing. It's funny, though, because I feel like for all that we've gotten a lot in this patch cycle and leading up into the new expansion, right? I keep waiting for that same sense of just, like, breakneck action, I guess, kind of going back to the transition from A Realm Reborn into Heavensward, where it was like all totally bonkers. You're like fleeing, this death happens, all this stuff is just like totally overturning what you knew, all this stuff is in motion, and it feels like we've definitely been in sort of the slow building. I mean, we just keep having these little tidbits like, well, there's towers now. Well, what about the thing? Oh no, Lunar Bahamut. Oh, but it's okay, it's a dungeon. Free Tiamat, she needs to come out. How about, like, there's stuff that's happening and it's important. And it's exciting and it's interesting. But I just keep waiting for them to, like, hit us with it, you know? And for things to just go absolutely ridiculous leading into the expansion. I mean, I guess the next part 2, right? Arenvald did not kick it this patch, which I truly thought was going to happen. The fact that they're keeping him in a healing state is interesting to me. It seems like if they were going to kill him, they would have just killed him now. But there has to be something more with him, or something more with what's going on. I mean, maybe he succumbs to his wounds in the next one, and then that kicks off a lot of action or something. Or maybe he tries to get up and do something or intervene and then dies. But I really, really actually was surprised that he didn't die here. So I guess that still leaves a whole nother second half for us to find out who actually gets to die, and if it's Arenvald, because I feel like it's got to still be Arenvald. But how he dies? Maybe somebody else? I don't know. We'll see. All of that aside, I'm really, really happy. I hope that you really enjoyed the patch. A lot of the other content has been really fun. I'm excited to do Diamond Weapon. As of this point, I still haven't done it. I have done the Near Raid, so keep an eye out for one of our Chaos first runs that's going to be going up of that here on YouTube. I was joined by the moderation team from our live stream, twitch.tv Bird of Chess. I'm over there. You can usually find me 3 to 4 days a week, and with the podcast on Saturdays, Aetherite Radio. So, yeah, I mean, I have no doubt we're going to be talking about all the content in the upcoming weeks. We'll be talking about it on Aetherite Radio. We'll be talking about it and running it live on stream. And, I mean, yes, I'm just ready. I'm ready. I feel good. I feel like we're bringing all the pieces together. We're getting everything set up. All the players are on the board. And hopefully in this next portion, we'll really start to feel the action take off. There was some really good stuff this patch. Definitely. I'm excited to rerun the dungeon even. That last fight and a lot of the gear and the sort of music and everything was really cool from that. Even if, like, the first 2 bosses I'm a little bit lukewarm about. All the other stuff they set up, though, I think is fantastic. I'm glad Estinien's officially a part of the squad. Get in this friendship circle. We'll get you some squid, don't worry. Fandaniel is still fannypack, right? So no real new developments yet on how or why we should care about him. Which I would have liked to maybe get a little bit more about. Same with Zenos, but it seems like they are very specifically kind of keeping that in check for the expansion or right before the expansion. Hydaelyn is a huge question, so that's big. Sherlion, I think, feels to me as though it's confirmed for one of our next zones, which makes total sense with Sage and everything else like we were talking about earlier during the run. And yeah, I mean, it just seems like it's logical, especially with KRILE now being there and her sort of operating as a liaison for us as we kind of transition into that world. Myrcidia was also mentioned, though. And while I feel as though Tiamat felt like more of a resolution in a lot of ways, the fact that she did say, you know, I will be in Myrcidia watching out for my children, it's not like she necessarily said, like, you know, come to Myrcidia and we'll see you sometime, you know, but that is a part of the world that I would love to see. And the Great Worms, I feel like all of that first brood, in theory, there's a lot of stuff there for them to be able to reveal about Hydaelyn, Zodiark, just their longevity on the star, which almost no other life form, as far as we know, has really been able to sort of compare with. So I think that's all really logical as well, that they might have some pieces that would fit in there. But then, like I was mentioning earlier, I think that does raise some questions about Thavnair, how that plays in, if it is more of a stopping point. Garlemald is feeling like more of a focus than I think even some of the... We knew it was going to be, right? Like, Garlemald is a big thing, but it seemed as though they were almost setting up the focus to kind of move away from that. And then that artwork that we saw with the announcement, where Garlemald is just like a crater, or at least the capital city, it really made me wonder if they were going to not spend a lot of time in the expansion in Garlemald and instead just push us to bigger things or different things, which kind of subverted what a lot of us, I think, thought coming in, that this would be sort of like the finally we go to Garlemald expansion. I don't know. We've got some Garlean characters that could operate as facilitators, but I don't get a sense that... I do get a sense that, yes, like, taking the fight to Garlemald is still a theme, but it does seem to be becoming something bigger than Garlemald, and I'm really curious to see how they keep balancing that. Like, if Garlemald is really going to be the thing, or if they really are going to kind of, like, scoot it aside in favor of whatever else is coming. I don't know. Curious to hear what everybody else thinks. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening to my rambling. Thank you for taking this journey with us. It's always fun to voice these and to be able, I think, just to give it another dimension, maybe for your own playthrough or for my own experience as we kind of, I don't know, get to connect with the characters, especially when there are a lot of cutscenes that are unvoiced. This time around, we had a lot that were voiced, so that was awesome. And I feel like I have a lot to mull over, but it was great to have you. If you haven't checked out our other videos, definitely do. We've got everything up there, from a bunch of games we've been playing recently to Final Fantasy XIV, starting with patch 5.3. We have been uploading all the new content directly to YouTube. But you can also find me live playing Final Fantasy XIV and Guild Wars 2. I play a lot of MMOs, but those are our two main ones, over on twitch.tv Gamerscape, and you can connect, or sorry, Gamerscape, holy cow, twitch.tv Bird of Chess, that's me. And you can find me on Aetherite Radio, which is Gamerscape's Final Fantasy XIV podcast, on Saturdays at twitch.tv Gamerscape. There's so many places. But if you have any confusion, any questions, down below in the comments, you can find all of the links in the description. You can also find just a little bit of information about the run and all that good stuff, so be sure to always check that out too, or skip ahead to the parts that you really want to see or rewatch or whatever it is. It's so good to fly with each and every one of you. Thank you all for the likes, subscribes, that good stuff. Have a great time as you yourself navigate all the new content in 5.5, and I will see you for other videos and for our part 2 playthrough when that releases. Which I think is when things are going to get crazy. Until then, keep flying strong, everybody.